The Kelvar alliance was crumbling. The Voraxi swarmed across our systems like a plague of locusts, their crystalline warships shattering planets into lifeless husks. Entire sectors fell silent, their populations either eradicated or harvested into the Voraxi's biomechanical slave pits. The Draxi, our mightiest warriors with their towering frames and plasma lances, fought valiantly but were losing ground. I, Liran of the Sylthi, tapped my claws against the war table, my 4 antennae twitching in agitation. We Sylthi were scholars, not soldiers, yet even we had joined the fray. The Terrans, though, the most populous race in the Alliance, sat idle on their fringe worlds, churning out freighters and ignoring our pleas. Typical, I thought, hissing through my mandibles, spineless as ever. The Voraxi had tightened their noose. Our territory shrank to a pitiful sliver, and the Terrans' quadrant remained untouched, their people carrying on as if the galaxy weren't burning. Their envoy hadn't even deigned to attend our latest council. I stormed out of the command spire, my patience frayed, only to freeze mid-step. There he was, the Terran envoy, leaning against a pillar, his narrow face creased with worry. "Why now?" I snapped, my voice a low buzz. "Your kind only shows up to gloat." He straightened, meeting my gaze with those unsettling twin eyes. "Liran, right? I'm Elias Kane, and no gloating here. We've got a problem. Our border stations keep getting hit. What would you do if you were us? Neutral, sure, but not blind." I flicked an antenna dismissively. "Neutral? You mean cowardly. Your factories could have armed us months ago, but you hid. Now it's too late. The Voraxi will glass us all." Elias tilted his head, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. "Cowardly? That's what you think of Terrans?" I bristled, confused by his focus on semantics when doom loomed. "Yes, you flee, you build, you never fight." "That's clarifying. Mind if I step inside?" I gestured curtly, and he followed me into the spire, settling into a chair as I perched opposite him. He steepled his fingers, studying me before speaking. "What do you know about us Terrans?" "Little," I admitted. "You're secretive, weak-bodied, short-lived." "Fair enough," Elias chuckled, a dry sound. "We're not strong like the Draxi, or clever like you Sylthi, but we've got something else, stubbornness. When we commit, we don't quit. Back on our homeworld, we've nearly ended ourselves a dozen times. Plagues, wars, bombs that split the sky. Each time we clawed back. We don't declare war anymore, not because we'd lose, but because we'd leave nothing standing." I clicked my mandibles, skeptical. "Absurd, you're bluffing." "Am I?" Elias pulled a data slate from his coat and slid it across the table. It showed a Voraxi flotilla, hundreds of jagged ships, drifting in deep space. He tapped a comm device. "All right, team, showtime. And yeah, go full wildcard." A chorus of whoops crackled through the comm. On the slate, the Voraxi advanced, their formation precise and unrelenting. Then, from the void, a swarm of tiny Terran craft erupted. Ramshackle things trailing grappling hooks. They wove through the enemy lines, snaring ships and dragging them into collisions. I squinted. "That's it?" Elias grinned. "Watch!" Larger Terran ships blinked into view, hulks of rusted metal that shed their outer shells to reveal gleaming hulls beneath. Ports snapped open, unleashing a storm of projectiles, not energy beams, but solid slugs that punched through Voraxi shields like they were glass. The flagship fired next, a cannon belching a single round. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the slate flared as an explosion tore through the flotilla, reducing it to molten debris. "Was that wildcard?" I murmured, awestruck. "Nope, that was the warm-up. Wildcards for the reinforcements." More Voraxi warped in, enough to overwhelm the Alliance twice over. But the Terran swarm didn't falter. Rockets blanketed the enemy, blinding their sensors as the smaller craft darted in, each moving independently, defying the synchronized tactics the Voraxi relied on. Their AI faltered, targeting the agile pests and ignoring the hulks, until those hulks unleashed a barrage of glowing orbs. The orbs struck, pulsed, and detonated in a cataclysm that rattled the spire beneath my feet. The slate went dark, the Voraxi fleet erased. "Kinetic warheads," Elias said, sipping a steaming drink he'd somehow produced. "Old Terran tech, really. We've got better brewing." "Better?" I echoed, reeling. "That wasn't enough?" "We're tinkering with graviton collapse bombs. Nasty stuff." He shrugged, as if discussing the weather. I stared. Why hide this? Why let us think Terrans are weak? "It's funnier that way," he said, standing. "Keeps folks off our backs. Mind keeping this quiet? We'd rather not spoil the joke." He left without another word. That night, I filed 2 reports. To the Alliance, a Voraxi power surge caused their fleet's destruction, observed via a Terran scanner Elias had shared. To the Scifi, a dire warning: never provoke the Terrans. They'd just obliterated the Voraxi, chuckling as they called their weapons outdated. Ally with them or pray they stay neutral.